Hi, everybody. We've just started, so we're going to give you a couple of minutes. We want to make sure that everybody is logged in to the Safe Kids Worldwide Facebook Live. We're going to be talking about rear-facing car seats, so we'll wait just a minute. But before we begin, I just want to wave hello to Jessica, who's across the country. And we've got hot weather over there, cooler weather over here in DC. Well, while we're waiting for people to come in, I just want to say happy National Child Passenger Safety Week to everybody out there. Whether you are a certified child passenger safety technician or just somebody who buckles up, thank you. It's always nice. So, Jessica, what do you think? Should we go ahead and get started?
Let's get started.
All right. Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to the Safe Kids Worldwide Facebook Live. Today, we're going to be talking about rear-facing car seats with Jessica Mitchell. Jessica, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Awesome. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Jessica Mitchell, and I work for Safe Kids Pima County out here in nice, sunny Tucson, Arizona. I have been a certified child passenger safety tech for 6 years and an instructor for 5 years, and I truly love what I do when it comes to teaching families about car seats.
Sounds great. And thank you for taking time today and for recruiting a camera person. So that'd be great.
Thank you for having me.
If you're out there, please feel free to drop a comment. Let us know if you have a question so that we can do our best to try to answer it today. So Jessica, we're going to talk about rear-facing seats today. And I understand there's two kinds of rear-facing car seats. Can you tell us a little bit about what they are and what the difference between them is?
Of course. So we'll go ahead and do these two seats down here. So both of these car seats do rear face. This one right here is what we consider a rear facing only car seat. So it's can only go in the rear facing position. Most of these types of seats only go up to about 35 pounds and 32 inches. So babies do outgrow these relatively fast. The other type of car seat we have is a convertible car seat. This car seat is nice because it can rear face, and once the child is old enough and big enough, that same seat can be used in the forward facing position. And usually these convertible types of car seats will allow a child to rear face a lot longer than these rear facing only type seats.
So I know many people think that kids just ride rear facing on their trip home from the hospital, but how long should kids ride rear facing for?
So kids should really ride rear facing at least until the age of 2, but ultimately until they outgrow the height or weight limit of that rear facing seat. So for example, this convertible car seat goes up to 40 pounds and 40 inches. So once that child hits one of those, that's when we want to turn them forward facing, even when they're past the age of 2.
That sounds great. We always know that rear facing is safer, so that's wonderful. I'm looking and I see that you have a doll buckled into that rear facing only seat. Can you tell us about how you adjust the harness for a rear-facing child?
Sure. I'm going to show you on this convertible car seat how to adjust the harness. Simply what you do is most convertible car seats, you have to adjust the harness manually. And so what you would do is you would unhook the strap on this, what we call splitter plate. You would bring it through the front and then route it back through the slot that is appropriate for your child. When you reroute it back through the front, you want to make sure that you go through the same slot in the fabric as you do the plastic shell. Once you've brought it back through the back, you want to make sure you hook it back onto the splitter plate to where it's nice and tight like this. And always check your car seat owner's manual to see which type of harness system you have and how to adjust that, because all car seats can be different.
So those look like they're supposed to come out around the child's shoulders. How does it fit on a child when you adjust it into one of those? I guess you had 3 or 4 choices of harness slots. Well, it looks like we may have lost our feed. So while we're waiting for Jessica to come back, so the harness slots need to be at or just below the child's shoulders when they're rear facing. And so you want to make sure, again, that it's at the child's shoulders or just below, and a nice snug harness. We'll talk about that when Jessica comes back. But here's a question. What if my child's feet touch the back of the vehicle seat? That's a great question. Here's the thing. When a child is facing the rear of the vehicle, right? So if this is the car seat right here, and this is the vehicle seat right here, it's okay if their legs touch the vehicle seat back. They'll just crisscross applesauce or put their legs out and they'll be perfectly comfortable, even though as adults we'll think that that is horribly uncomfortable. It'll be fine for them. So it's perfectly fine for a child's feet to touch the vehicle seat back. In fact, the American Academy of Pediatrics did a study, and they found out that the risk of injury to a child's arms or legs is much lower rear facing than forward facing. So we do want to make sure that the child is kept rear facing for as long as possible. Do we have another question? Oh, here's another one. Great. So here's a question. My friend gave me their used car seat. Can I use it? Well, that's a great question. And we know that people are always interested in saving money where they can, but they don't want to sacrifice safety. So if your friend gave you their car seat, you want to ask them a couple of questions. Number one, did they register their car seat? Because you want to make sure it's registered and make sure there are no recalls. Although you can always check your label. And, oh, I think we've got Jessica back. Oh, well, we'll just continue. We'll bring her back up in a second. So you want to make sure that you register the car seat. You want to make sure you register the car seat because if there's any recalls, whether it affects the crash worthiness of the car seat or it's something like a label, you do want to make sure that you're in contact with the manufacturer. So you want to make sure you have the information to register it. Number two, has it ever been involved in a crash? So if it's been in anything more than a minor fender bender, and sometimes even if it is a fender bender, you have to check your car seat manual to see what their guidelines are. You're going to want to replace that car seat. Car seats are really single-use items. And finally, you want to make sure that it's not missing any parts or components. So yes, feel free to use that used car seat as long as you can get a history. You know it's never been in a crash. You know that it's not recalled. And it's not too old. Car seats have expiration dates. And of course, that it has all of its parts. Okay, well, I see. Oh, thank you, everybody, for joining us and asking these questions. That's great. We are working on getting Jessica from Safe Kids Pima County back. But until then, here for you. We'll get those questions answered. My baby is getting too big for his or her infant car seat. Can I move them to a forward-facing car seat? Well, we know that kids are much safer rear-facing. We just learned about that from Jessica. So if they outgrow their rear-facing only seat, either by height or weight, you can move them to use a rear-facing convertible seat. Convertible seats tend to be a little bit taller, and they tend to have a higher weight limit, so they can be in them a little bit longer. Of course, you want to keep them rear-facing as long as possible until they max out that car seat. So you want to make sure to read the labels on the car seat because they're going to have height and weight guidelines. So again, you don't want to graduate your child to a new seat too early. You want to keep them rear-facing for as long as possible. Okay. Jessica, do we have you back?
Carrie, can you hear me? Carrie?
I can hear you and I can see feet.
Okay, so you know how I said I live in Tucson, Arizona, right? You all heard of thing of your phone overheating? Yeah, that's what happens.
Well, we are glad you are back with us.
So if
we were just catching up a little bit. We were just catching up a little bit about used car seats, that you can only use them if you've got all the information. We talked about when to move from a rear-facing only seat to a convertible seat. But can you talk a little bit about how to adjust the harness? I know you were talking about the harness slots, but how do you know if a child is snug enough in that harness?
Perfect. So we're going to go into the shade to hopefully keep my phone from overheating again. So when you're looking at a child in a rear-facing position, it's very important that their harnesses are at or below their shoulders. And what that means, and I know this can be difficult to see, is that the harness slots are actually below the child's shoulders on the back side, and the harnesses then come up and over their shoulders, really cupping that baby into that car seat. And then once you have everything clipped, like this baby here, you want to make sure you check for tightness. And how we do that is we run our fingers along the shoulder of the harness. If we don't pinch any of that harness, we know everything's nice and snug. If you can pinch it, you want to make sure you pull on the harness to tighten it down just a little bit more.
And what about that clip in the middle? Can you repeat that?
Yep, this is called a retainer clip. We always want to make sure that this clip sits at armpit level right across that sternum bone. So for this little baby, because he's a tiny little guy, we're going to have to push it up there. And sometimes you're just going to have to push these shoulder strap pads out of the way if your car seat comes with them.
So it sounds like when you're talking about putting a rear-facing child in the car seat, you really want three things. You want the harness straps to be at or just below the shoulders. You want to pass the pinch test, right, at the child's shoulder. And that retainer clip has to be at armpit level.
Yes, perfect.
All right, great. Can you show us how you might install? I know a lot of people have the rear-facing only seats. Can you show us how to install one of those seats?
Perfect. So I will go ahead and show you how to do that. This seat here is a Nuna Pippa, and so it has a built-in lock-off, which is the way that I'm going to install this base today. So what you want to do first is I'm going to open up that built-in lock-off here. You're going to route the seatbelt through the belt path, and to know where the belt path is on your car seat, you always want to check your owner's manual and or look for stickers on the seat itself. I'm going to buckle in that seat. Make sure it's sitting in the slots for that built-in lock-off. Take the shoulder belt. I'm going to pull out this extra slack that's in those belts. And then I simply take this lock off and I clip it down, and now my seat is nice and secure. I gave it a good gentle tug here at the belt path to make sure that it moved no more than 1 inch.
Wow, now do all car seats come with that cool blue piece?
I wish they did, but no, not all car seats do. Some car seats do come with different versions of what they consider a built-in lock-off. But again, because there are so many different car seats out on the market, always check your owner's manual to see what your car seat has and what the suggested guidelines are to install that base in car seat.
Well, Jessica, if somebody loses their owner's manual, where can they go to get a replacement one or to find
Google.
one?
Google is our friend. But definitely the manufacturer's website. I think majority of manufacturers now have almost all of their owner manuals available on their website for you to either download or print.
Okay. Well, we do have some questions. One of the questions that comes up all the time is, our seats are rear facing. She has anchors through the bottoms and the anchor down the back. So I guess they're talking about the lower anchor straps and the tether strap. Is that okay? She says if she doesn't use the anchors or those lower straps, the seats wiggle and can be lifted up. What advice do you have for Samantha?
So when we're using the lower anchors, we definitely want to use lower anchors or seatbelt. We never want to do both because car seat manufacturers don't recommend using both. So you want to use what you can install the right way each and every time and what your seating position allows. If you've used the lower anchors and you can't get a good install, you can always try using the seatbelt and see if it gets a tighter install that way.
One question I know a lot of people ask about that is, where are you testing for a good fit? Because I think a lot of times they're testing towards the edge of the seat where it's not buckled in. So where do you test for that 1 inch mark?
Okay, so I'm going to pull out my convertible car seat because I feel I see this more common in convertibles. So when you're testing for tightness in a car seat install, you're testing where the seat belt or the lower anchor belts cross through. So for a rear facing, it's going to be the belt path closest to the vehicle seat. And so when I'm testing, I take my least dominant hand right on the edge of the seat, and I'm going to give it a good back and forth and then front to back. As long as it doesn't move more than 1 inch, we're good. A lot of parents I find will test up here at the top of the car seat near the child's head, and when that happens, the car seat may move a little bit because it does start to pivot on that car seat. This movement up here is okay as long as we're nice and tight down by the belt path.
Okay. One question that comes up pretty regularly is all the extra stuff to put in especially a rear-facing seat or a rear-facing convertible seat, like extra pads and pillows. Can you talk about why it's safe or not safe to use those?
So we do not recommend adding anything to a car seat that doesn't come with a car seat. When a car seat comes with the extra padding and the pillows, the car seat manufacturer has crash tested that car seat with all that stuff in there, and they know what's going to happen in the event of an accident. When we start going out and buying things and adding our own paddings and our own pillows, that's where it could impede on the safety and the overall performance of the car seat. So again, it's highly not recommended to add non-approved products to a car seat.
Okay. We have a comment that says twist in the seatbelt. I'm not sure exactly what that is asking about, but how many twists are allowed? Can you talk about if there's a twist in the belt?
So if you're looking to try to install a car seat more tightly, sometimes the cause of it could be the buckle of the seatbelt system itself. And if that's the case, we are allowed to take the actual buckle and twist that down at least 3 times, no more than 3. But if there's a twist in the actual seatbelt system itself, whether in the lap or the shoulder portion, we really want to make sure to try to get all those twists out and make sure it's nice and laying smooth along the car seat when it's installed.
It sounds like there's a lot of things to worry about or to think about when you're installing a car seat. Where can somebody go for more information or if they have questions about whether they're using their car seat correctly?
they can definitely always go onto safekids.org and they can find out how to find a car seat tech in their area from that website. And so it's a great resource. I mean, if they forget that, they can always Google car seat technician near me, and they should be able to find some places that can help them.
Yeah, and a lot of manufacturers, the number for the car seat manufacturer will be a label on the car seat. A lot of them actually have a customer service that can help, and even some virtual education now that we're doing a lot more remotely, like we're doing on Facebook Live today.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. We already talked a little bit about non-approved items, using extra harness pads or pillows to comfort the baby in the car. Let's see if there's any other questions out there. We'll get it together. Is there anything that we haven't touched on, Jessica, that you would like to talk about in terms of the rear-facing child?
I think we touched on everything that I feel is very important when you're going to put a rear-facing child in the car seat. I know I missed parts of it when my phone decided to get too hot.
Well, we do actually have another question. They want to know if one car seat is safer than the other.
Ooh, that's a tough one. So all car seats are tested to the same safety standards for a frontal crash, because that is the most common crash. There are car seats out there that may have rollover testing, side impact testing, but from the basic car seat, they're all equally as safe, as long as they're used right. So you want them installed right and the child harnessed right.
Yeah, and we do have a link on your screen. So everybody out there watching, if you do want some tips and tricks on how to select and use a car seat, you can go to the Ultimate Car Seat Guide from Safe Kids. Well, Jessica, thank you so much for sharing your expertise today. I know that I've learned something. I hope that our listeners have learned something too. On behalf of Safe Kids Worldwide, thank you so much. We appreciate your time, your energy, and your expertise.
Thanks, guys. You have a good day.
All right, everybody. Bye now.